Well, to Guinea-Bissau now, where an army general has been sworn in as the country's new transitional leader. This a day after the military seized power, arresting President Umaro Embalo and suspending the vote count from Sunday's presidential election. The new de facto leader, General Horta Ntam, took an oath of office in a ceremony at the military's headquarters amid dozens of heavily armed soldiers. Well, shortly afterwards, he spoke to the nation. We can take a listen to that.
We will vigorously combat drug trafficking. Course of action.
All right, thank you for joining me. Today we're going to the West African nation of Guinea-Bissau. There has been a coup staged. We are not sure if this coup was staged by the outgoing president or not, but as you can see, Guinea-Bissau had an election, presidential election, a few days back. So the opposition, it's been believed that the opposition won the election because in Guinea-Bissau, you need 53% plus one vote. So the opposition came out and claimed victory. The incumbent, Umaro Embalo Sissoko, also claimed victory. So a day later, they said there was a coup. Can you imagine? Is this staged? Because the president himself, Embalo Sissoko, was on the phone. He called France 24 to say that he has been couped. So let us take a listen. General Horta Tam, he's been sworn in right away as the new leader of Guinea-Bissau. By the way, Guinea-Bissau is considered a narco state, meaning all the drugs coming from, Central and South America is taken to Guinea-Bissau and staged there for distribution. So this is the belief that, Embalo Sissoko, the outgoing president, he didn't want to hand this over to the civilian. So it's believed that he staged this coup. And the man that you're seeing here, General Horta Tam, these are his inner circle. So let us hear him tell us what's going on and we can hear more. Here we go. This is interesting. Can you believe it? The guy is losing the election and then all of a sudden the army steps in and this man is being sworn in to take over. There's some suspicion here, but let's hear more.
State corruption, political corruption, and corruption of Ghanaian society. In this fight against corruption and drug trafficking, the military's actions to restore national security and order require the cooperation of all Guineans.
Well, for more information about what's going on in Guinea-Bissau, we're joined now on the line by Caitlin Kelly, our correspondent. Good to have you with us, Caitlin. What's the latest that you're hearing now from the ground in Guinea-Bissau?
Well, we've just heard from Fernando Diaz himself. Our France 24 colleague, Sarah Sacco, spoke to him, and he's called the events of the past 24 hours a false coup. He says he wants the real results of the election and has called on the international community to help from what he said was a safe and hidden place in Bissau. It's an interesting development after this morning's events that you've just mentioned, as this group of military in the capital declared, General Horta Ntam the leader and said that he's assumed office for the next year. It was during a swearing-in ceremony that journalists from AFP observed in the military headquarters. And they also said that there were dozens of heavily armed soldiers at the scene. Don't know that much about this new leader, but sources in Bissau that I've spoken to say he was a close friend or ally of Embalo, who he now in theory replaces. Embalo, we know, has been detained. Well, he told media this yesterday that he'd been arrested when military men stormed the palace. Reports this morning say he's actually still in the military headquarters now where he slept. This group, the so-called High Military Command for the Restoration of Order, read out the statement last night on television and declared that everything had been suspended. So it's a really evolving situation at the moment, and we've now also just heard that reaction from the opposition leader on the day that the country was supposed to get results from a pretty tight election.
Exactly. Did you guys hear that? So Imbalo, the president who supposedly, was deposed by this military man that you are seeing, this is his inner circle. He himself was in the army. Okay. So somehow the opposition, was winning and the results are supposed to come out. Then all of a sudden the military steps in and did a coup. I mean, come on. And Imbalo himself, he himself was the one that called France 24 to let them know that the military have staged a coup against him, and he was safely in the army barracks with the military over there, and they didn't take his communication away. Imbalo is seen there talking to his friends all around the world. By the way, I heard that he left the country to Ivory Coast. So this is very suspicious. So the military guys are supposed to be in charge for a year as a transition so that, in a year they can hold another election. I mean, this is unbelievable because Imbalo himself, what he did was he banned the opposition, the PAIJ. This is the political party that freed them from Portuguese colonial rule. So when he banned them, they joined the current opposition leader, and that's how people believe he won the election. But they don't want to hand over power to the civilian. So, I mean, that's what is happening here. So they believe that this is staged. This man, General Hota Tam, would be in charge for a year, and then Balo would return and run for election again.
Give us an idea of some of the other reactions that we are hearing from about this.
Yeah, I mean, across the board, there's been a lot of speculation and questions around this military takeover from multiple people I've spoken to and analysts. Questions remain, especially around how the president has managed to communicate with media channels like France 24 when he was under arrest. People I've spoken to also questioned, the fact that the president's own military unit were the ones deployed after the gunshots were heard, and it was the man leading the military takeover was the head of the presidential guard. We heard from the UN last night. They expressed profound concern and said that they were monitoring the situation. That's the largest international voice we've heard so far. Whilst ECOWAS released a statement last night from their electoral monitoring mission, who had literally just left the country 48 hours ago, and they called the incident regrettable because they had literally just met with the two leading candidates who had told them, they said, that they would accept the will of the people, etc. And so it's a really sharp turn of events, particularly in their eyes. On the streets of Bissau itself, we've had very mixed and rather exasperated reactions from a country that's sadly very used to coups after dozens of attempts and 4 actual coups in the past few years.
Well, we're going to have to leave it there. Thanks very much indeed, Caitlin Kelly there speaking to us.
All right. And you guys have seen and heard that. So that's what's going on in Guinea-Bissau. So clearly, I mean, just like the correspondent just explained, this is what is going on in Guinea-Bissau. The president there, Imbalo, clearly they've staged this. They don't want to hand over power, because how are you a victim of a coup d'etat and you yourself pick up the phone and able to communicate to various news outlets? This makes 0 sense. So these people want to hold on to power. And by the way, ECOWAS forces are presently in Guinea-Bissau. How was this coup able to take place? So you've seen and heard that, ladies and gentlemen. Feel free to leave your comments in the comment section and let me know what you think about, what is happening in Guinea-Bissau. But I have to say, this sounds very, very suspicious to me. Thank you. I will see you guys on the next one. I'm out.
Lend thy ears to the freedomers.